All right.
You went live when nobody was on. Like
I
it was
know.
a blank screen.
I know. I caught that.
Boy.
Oh shit! Hold on, I'm getting echo here. All
At
right.
least our cameras work better than Amit's.
What?
At least our cameras work better than Amit's camera.
Right. Hold
What's
on.
going on, everybody? You ready to talk some Enovix, I mean, whatever.
Whatever it is. Hold on. I was hearing a crazy echo. All right. Got this, got that. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a stripped down version of the Finance Junkies today. Amit is in Palantir land. I think Chris is sleeping. But
Right,
also,
I think he's sleeping with Carp, right? Right now. I saw them playing. I saw them playing with each other's hair.
how awesome was that? Honestly, that was pretty awesome. That was like
That's
one of the
pretty good.
top, I don't know, 10 moments in the last like year.
Hey, if a
And that
CEO is
kid
willing to
zero, are
fool
you
around like that, then
that
and
would
he's
have
good.
been like at 27 or 28 if I would have met, I don't know if you'd call like Steve Jobs. Actually, maybe. Look back
Right.
at what Apple's market cap was in like 2000.
And then imagine Steve Jobs diddied you.
Yeah, and like pulled my hair and shit. Are you kidding me?
Right.
That'd have been pretty
Carp
awesome.
is pulling a puffy right now with a mitt.
Just getting the foundry in him. That's pretty funny. Yeah, let's go
Oh,
see.
that is
See
funny.
what we got. Okay.
All right, who here knows what Enovix is?
Yeah, as Vitaly tells you what Enovix does for those people, I'm gonna go through the chats and say what's up. What's up, William?
Well, apparently they don't do much. I just want to point out.
Oh, come on, man. We just like started the stream. You already shit on him. Wait till like
Listen, you saw I don't know if you saw my buys, but I did buy calls and shares at $6. So I did actually 30% increase my position.
That's
But
great.
not because of any specific like thinking that the quarter was going to be magical. That wasn't why. It's more like, it's like a what if bet, right? What if TJ Rogers has another end phase part due? That's
that. Well, okay. The TLDR is after watching the earnings call, and more importantly, that Q&A.
yeah.
I think I think we're seeing the signs. By the way, certified finance. Yeah, I'd love to. I think if we can get our schedules in order, I'd love to. If anything, maybe even bring back the Sunday show. That won't.
Well, first of all, Carlos, you can do a day a week by yourself.
I'll just be sitting here. How many of you guys would tune in every day to see me here?
I'm actually enjoying the twice a week thing. Personally.
Oh, you're like, yeah, because you're working. When you're not working and you're sitting around.
Yeah, well, when you're working too, it's hard to do 5 days a week.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very difficult. But I would miss it more than it's annoying. What's up, fellas? What's up, Ryan? What's up, Chaos? Midwest, of course.
Can you block that guy, Amit? He's really annoying.
Is he in the chat now? Is Amit in the chat? Oh, Jesus. At a French restaurant.
Yeah. Nice. Like, at a French restaurant.
Right. He's like, I'm going to McDonald's. All right. Until we see a photo. How
are carp sheets? I just want to know about that.
Oh man. Right. Did you do a boot camp that we don't?
Well, we can go all day with this carp.
Hey, I met you did it with carp. There you go. All right. So seriously, why don't you start telling them what
tell them I never go A to M, okay?
Ma.
That's only for people who understand that.
Oh man.
Oh, all right. Do you want to actually bring up the Enovix thing, or do we want to keep making fun of Carp and Amit together?
No. Actually had a bunch of boot camp. Oh, there he goes. Look. I don't know if you're taking it the way we're taking it, but yes, we fully expect to be.
I think he left out a Y in the middle of there.
No, that's great. Camp. I do want to hear all about that. That was an awesome moment.
Well, let's shit on Palantir now. They're down, aren't they? 15%.
Well, they got crushed like 10-50% after hours, but it had run up a bunch. It was a 75 fucking PE.
It ran up a lot.
They basically it was priced in. It was definitely one of those like sell the news things.
Well, yeah, it went from $6 to 25. So I mean,
all right, so let's get into this. This was impromptu. Like I actually I'm gonna post some stuff on. Oh yeah, I know. I got to bring this up real quick. This was really sad. I sent this to you, Vitaly.
Going out of yeah, Sam Ash. Yeah, that's
Sam
really
Jump
that's
Center in
really
West
shitty.
Hollywood. Yeah, I was there not too long ago.
Wait, is that West Hollywood or because they're also New York? Is it all across the
It's all
you
of
know?
them.
It's
The
all
thing
of them,
that I
right?
sent you was an Instagram post. I'll see
Hmm.
if I can pull it up actually, where they had said that Sam Ash, all the stores was closing. Uh,
Yeah, that sucks.
oh,
So
actually,
anybody who doesn't know Sam Ash, it was a music store, and I spent a good part of my childhood at that music store, dreaming of like that equipment that I will one day have, the guitars, the
yeah,
drums,
I
whatever they
spent
had
so
there.
much time, even like meeting up with people. You would meet the people that work there, and maybe sometimes you would jam.
Yeah, and honestly, musicians had a job working at Sam Ash because let's face it, music is hard.
That's kind of what it was. Yeah.
Uh,
So there you go. It is with a heavy heart that we announce that all Sam Ash Music Store locations will begin store closings today. This unfortunate news also presents a fantastic opportunity for great deals across our premium selection of musical instruments and pro sound equipment. We will also be offering specials on samash.com during this time. Thank you for allowing us to serve musicians like you for 100 years. 100-year companies are getting displaced because it's just the way it is now. It's
I
just
mean, it's
quite.
surprising it took so long
Yeah,
because
actually, I was wondering who was still shopping at Sam Ash, but for those
yeah,
kinds of things, you wanted to jump in the store and try them out. Makes sense.
yeah. I know. Look, if you're spending on a big purchase, but uh, I get that. But I think Guitar Center has taken over Sam Ash's business.
Mm.
And also just I use Musician's Friend. I don't know if you know that.
No.
It's an online.
In
They have good return policies too. So if you know what you're buying, like I have not shopped at Sam Ash for I don't know
a
20
long
years.
time. Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
a long time. It's been a really long time. But we're also not at the age that we do that. Like I bought that thing years ago and it's fine. I'm not going to need to buy anything else. But I did go,
Right.
pick up some gear, some equipment. There's a big Guitar Center out here and it's always empty. I just think that this sort of business, it's very it's capital intensive. You need a lot of space
Yeah.
and I don't know. I don't know how successful that's going to be in the long run. But who gives a fuck about that? Let's talk about Enovix. Enovix.
Well, I will say one thing before we get to Novix. I went to Nashville, which is like country capital or whatever.
Right.
When I was shooting the show I'm out, by the way, Sins of the South is out. If you guys are 40 to 55-year-old women mostly, that's who watches these shows that I make basically. It's called Sins of the South. It's out. But we were in Nashville and we were shooting, and we went to a guitar place. I forgot what it was called, but it was amazing. It was all like 60s guitars, 50s guitars. So like you're talking about $15,000 guitars, $20,000 guitars. That place is still doing okay because apparently, if you're selling really high end guitars, you're okay. And they were staffed up the wazoo. They had like great location.
Mhm.
I was actually shocked that like wow, a music store that only sells guitars, expensive guitars, is actually doing okay.
It would make sense. That would be one of the areas that they would be
Yeah.
successful. But I don't know how much you can expand that business. Now,
No, no, no. I
real
don't know how
need,
many stores they have. It's a one or two max. Yeah, absolutely.
the
All
whole.
right.
All right, guys. Uh, Let me just take a look here. Okay, Tesla's going bankrupt. We're not going to talk bankrupt today. This was funny. Pains. I'm just thinking how you guys are going to
So
transition
Bitcoin, I used
the
Bitcoin at
Bitcoin.
the Guitar Center.
Right. Sam Ash is going out of business. You know what's never going to go out of business for Tesla. Right. Sam Ash crumbled to inflation. You know what never crumbles to inflation.
Right.
It's so easy. We could do this all day. All
Laugh
right.
now, but when Bitcoin's over 100,000, you will be crying that you did not buy.
Right. And we'll just buy Sam Ash.
Right.
And then want to talk some end phase after. All right. I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
think we got that much
Well,
time.
Amit's not joining, but I think Chris is sleeping. I mean, Chris is having a crazy schedule, running some shit. All right, we're now 10 minutes in. I'm going to share the screen. Let's talk a little bit about Enovix.
And we do know Chris is a big Enovix shareholder. So
He's massive. I mean, you all know he's a big bull. So we're hoping he gets up and can join us. Oh man.
right.
Okay.
He believes in the TJ narrative.
You
All right.
can see this. It's good.
A little bit bigger would always be better. So you want to go point by point? We're just going to go over the call and then go to the Q&A. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I have the call, and what I was doing was I was just looking at the transcript and then kind of scrolling through, looking for some keywords and popping through. I don't think the call actually. I think everything that we're going to hear here in this article is what you're going to get from the call. I actually think the Q&A was much better in terms of information.
Sure. Well, we'll do that. Revenue. Go ahead. Go through that.
Enovix Corporation Q1 earnings surpasses revenue forecasts despite challenges. In revenue, they reported $5.3 million for Q1 2024, significantly up from $21,000.
All right, but this context here, that's because of the acquisition they had of a real company. I forgot the name of it. Do you remember the name of it?
No, I don't remember the name.
Anjulade or Jude, whatever, a Korean company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think all that money is coming from them. All that is coming from them. I don't think they don't break out, as far as I know, the actual, even though they're shipping test batteries, which they may or may not be charging for, as discussed in this Q&A. He sort of discussed this.
He discussed it.
But this is all like artificial inflation. So saying we made 21,000 last year and now we're making 5 million, that's because they bought that income. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if that's the way they should frame it, but they did, of course.
But the thing is, it is technically revenue, even though there's like a little asterisk. There's an asterisk there, but it is technically revenue because they now own that company, and that company's going to.
How much did they pay for it? Do you remember?
Revenue? No, I mean, we can actually go and look it up, or if you want to,
because I'm wondering how much that revenue cost them. So,
well, see if you can look it up. I'll just keep reading through this because I honestly think the Q&A is the most.
Keep going.
So here's like the bad news: net loss. Oh, that's not bad news. Net loss recorded a net loss of $46.3 million in Q1, an improvement from a net loss of $73 million and worse than the estimated net loss of $49 million. Earnings per share, they reported a loss of 28 cents per share, slightly better than the 29 cents per share. But again, this is like this is like a pre-revenue.
Yeah, right. So it really doesn't matter.
I'm not putting too much weight on this right now. Of course, you want to see these numbers improve, but I expect them to. Cost of revenue, GAAP cost of revenue decreased to $7 million in Q1 from $19 million. Contributing to a positive non-GAAP gross margin for the first time. That's great. They're taking a page of Tesla and all these companies now, really finding areas to reduce costs, and it's obviously benefiting them. Cash position, they ended the quarter with $262 million in cash, down from $307. Future outlook, they expected revenue to be between $3 million and $4 million, with an adjusted EBITDA loss projected between $26 and $32 million. That's
so. Hold on, go up a bit just to go over this real quick. End of the quarter with $260 million. And how much did they? And they recorded a net loss of $46 million. So their runway is what?
So they were
around five quarters. What is it saying?
It's saying here that they had. He talks about that on the Q&A, but we can go to. So they have $262 million in cash. Let me just bring up a calculator real quick. Let's just do this.
To bring Johnny Boy. Well, you know, if we bring Johnny Boy, it's all going to be positive. I want to shit on Enovix.
If he wants to pop on, I'd love to. If any of you guys want to pop on,
that's fine too. Honestly,
this is fine. I'll just post the link in the chat if anybody.
By the way, I have a good position in Enovix, but I'm not delusional to my investment.
Well, did you hear here's the thing? Yes, this is not something that we're like, oh, it's going to the moon tomorrow. But I'm actually much more secure about the investment after the Q&A. Much more so than the earnings. The earnings was like a hint. But then he got into it and answered some questions, like some very direct questions in the Q&A, which are things that we would have wanted to hear on the.
You want to bring it up, or
that's why I think talking about, like, again, this is they're pre-profitable. Okay, they have GAAP. What do they have? A GAAP gross margin with that's great. More about like the future. Where are we going with this thing? And if we switch over,
GAAP cost of revenue decreased, so it's a decreased, a positive non-GAAP gross margin for the first time. Okay,
let me see if I can share this entire window. It would be this one, right? Yeah, Enovix Corp. Let's see if I can switch. Can I switch? Perfect. Okay. The other thing is, I just when I did a quick search on YouTube, we're starting to actually see people posting videos about this now. It's feeling FUV vibes. Archimoto.
That's a bad thing to say if it's feeling FUV vibes.
In retail sense, the company still has to do what they got to do, but at least it seems to be getting some kind of traction. Like 13 days, and they're not getting many views, but some people are out there actually streaming shorts. And that was just strange as I looked for it. But here's the call. If anybody wants to to look at the call, let's see if there's anything in here.
We can play it. See how far we get.
You want to play a little bit of this? Maybe even just listen to like the opening statements.
Sure.
You hear it? Do you hear it? Okay.
I don't hear anything yet.
Oh, I know how this works on StreamYard. I know how this works. All of these.
Still learning StreamYard.
No, it's like when you're the host. And I'll talk to a minute about this. The links that you want to share with audio have to be in the same window, a separate tab of where StreamYard's open. It doesn't always do that. Or maybe if you're not the host, it's different. But I'm just going to move these tabs over. It's just easier for me to see.
I do want to say when Raj talks, and obviously TJ, I believe what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I hope it's not all like fluff and bullshit, but thank you very much, Aaron.
Is that your shadow account, Vitaly?
That's, yeah.
That's
Hey,
like
bro,
Elon,
thanks
Elon
for
has
chiming
his
in, bro.
Elon has his fake Elon, and you're like,
Did you see me typing on the side?
oh,
I
what's
love you.
up? Yes, bring Johnny Boy. Someone page Johnny Boy. Someone go there.
No, FUV did not have good leadership. I mean, I'm sorry, I like Mark as a person, but I would always question, like, are they on Fridays? Do they have Hawaiian T-shirt Fridays? Like, what are they doing? Why aren't they taking this seriously?
Now, like, what
And
good did that ultimately do?
but I'm saying, like, Raj, when he speaks, and the moves that they're making in terms of the Malaysian factory and closing down the Fremont, which wasn't producing much of anything, right? To save costs, to only work on scale. It seems like this guy's actually processing all of that legitimately, and I'm pretty sure no one is sleeping on Friday at that factory.
No, and when he talks about the factory, the fact that he came in after the fact, like he's like, the company was going for a long time, and then I come in. You can tell that he has this. He's bringing in a certain mentality of like, we have new expectations. There's new expectations. The standards have gone up, and that's a advantage that he has. Where him coming in as a CEO to sort of right the ship and turn it around, he kind of has to be that guy. You get a sense that he runs a very tight ship, especially on the Q&A when there's a section where he's talking about what delayed the Malaysia factory so long, and as he was going through the FAT, the certification to get the factory.
What does that stand for? Do you remember? I keep hearing it, but I don't know what it stands for.
I forgot what it is.
Okay.
It's a factory something. It's basically a certification that
right.
Passed. As he was going through that, he was like, they were getting machines delivered from the companies to build the batteries, and they weren't perfect. And he's like, some of the delays were our own standards in continuing to send these machines back because they didn't meet our standards, whether it was like output performance, down, runtime down, whatever it is. So it's interesting. You could see he's running a tight ship. He's not trying to fuck this up. And he actually had a really great closing statement that I think we should just let him say. I don't want to.
Well, say the beginning. Let's start at the beginning. We'll,
see a little bit of
we won't listen to the whole thing. If you guys didn't hear it, you probably should if you're investing in Enovix.
Right. Let me see. It's this. This is the earnings. Okay. Yeah, I'll just play this. So now, tell me if you can hear.
Which is posted on the page of our website.
All right. So now
I'll now turn the call over to Raj to begin. Raj.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you to everyone joining us.
The earnings. You're doing the earnings, or you're doing the Q&A?
Format today, I'm going to start with a recap of our recent results, how we are progressing against our strategy, before I turn it over to Farhan for the financials and the outlook. I'll also have a few closing comments, and then we'll take your questions. We're off to a great start in 2024. To recap our recent achievements, first, we delivered a Q1 revenue of $5.3 million, which was above our forecast due to strong performance from the IoT category. And thanks to the higher revenue and favorable product mix, we reported positive non-GAAP gross margins for the first time in the company's history. Second, we completed the factory acceptance testing of our Gen 2 agility line, and the vast majority of the machines are already in Malaysia, and the SAT is well underway, which is the site acceptance test. As a result, we're on track to produce our first battery samples of the EX1M technology this quarter. Now, I'll also note that the FAT for the high volume, the Gen 2 auto line, is nearly complete. And given that it's based on the exact same process kernels as the agility line, for the unique and challenging portions of our battery manufacturing process, such as laser dicing and stacking, our yields are already at upwards of 95% in our Gen 2 machines. Big picture, manufacturing is in a great place. We are confident we can scale the Gen 2 process given the amount of rigor we put into getting these qualification steps right. Now, let's talk about the customer progress. Let's start with smartphones, the largest portion of the battery market in consumer electronics. We are deeply engaged with market leaders given the value they see in our architecture to enable silicon and increase the battery performance. As we talked about previously, our process has been to work with these OEMs to gather the specific requirements for the smartphone market, and then develop a product that's tailored to the needs of this market. This is exactly what we've done with the EX1M. And I'm thrilled to update you that we have now begun producing samples of EX1M in Fremont for initial testing, which you can see on the cover of our shareholder letter. It's super exciting for us.
So
now,
can
the
you
samples
pause
of
that?
EX1M will go out shortly, and the customers are really eager to...
Can you pause that? So wait. The EX1M is in Fremont, but he just fired all those people, didn't he?
Because the qualification products of the...
Did he say
hear me?
that? Yeah. I hear
Well,
you.
there was just some news that they fired a large portion of their staff. I assume the people working on EX1M. So I'm not sure what happened there. If anybody knows, maybe put it in the comments. But that was weird because this happened after the earnings call, I believe, the firing, the layoffs.
That must have been really recent.
Yeah. It was during the Q&A when they announced it. I think it was the same day. So a day or two ago. Anyway.
Oh, well, I didn't. Let me see. Well, just actually, if you don't mind checking that out in the background.
Yeah, I'll take
And I'm just
keep going.
But okay, they made money. He's saying whatever. They made some money. They passed the factory acceptance testing, and they're ready to send out some samples by the end of the quarter.
These samples with their products in mind for 2025 launch.
The other thing he said it was really important. He's going to dive into this in the Q&A. Is that what he did was, remember, this guy comes from microchips, so he's got a lot of connections already with smartphone makers, and he leveraged those connections to be able to find out the exact what are the stress tests that you put your batteries through, right? And then he tailored his then he tailors the specific chemistry of the battery to meet and exceed their standards. Does that make sense? So he finds out how they're going to test the battery once he hands them over and tries to meet and exceed their standards. That's a nice competitive advantage.
What does this mean? And where are we with these customers? Now let's take a quick look with this slide. Now, what I'm showing on this slide is basically the size of a smartphone business opportunity for us. The smartphone battery leadership opens a $12 billion opportunity for Enovix. If you look at the top bar on the slide, you can see all the OEMs that ship, around 1.2 billion smartphones in 2023. The top 8 of them represent 1 billion units, which is 80% of the volume. Now, of the 12 billion lithium-ion battery TAM in smartphones, 9.5 billion is among these top 8. Collectively, they produced 280 plus models of smartphones, which means an average smartphone unit volume of 3.5 million units per model. So 3 or 4 models of this will take a full line of ours. Now, 6 of the top 8 of these OEMs are going to receive samples from the EX1M smartphone battery from us.
Now, he announced that they're in a development deal for one of the top 5 smartphone makers. So that would either be Apple, Samsung. What's this?
Who is that?
These are overseas. I don't know any of these companies. I don't know this logo.
It's probably the last one. It's Transmission.
Right. Well, it's one of the top 5. My guess is Samsung here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, my guess would be Samsung, but
so that's
What do you guys think?
$5 billion of smartphone battery TAM is actually represented here.
It's probably Samsung.
So we're in great shape, as you can see, with the market leaders. Something that was a priority for me when I joined the company last year to focus on the largest part of the battery market. Now, the customer interest has extended to conversations with OEMs about formalizing our relationship with them as we started making progress over the course of the last year. Some have expressed desire to be the first to market with products in 2025 and beyond. To that end,
with products in 2025 and beyond, man, the more and more, again, this is like the more and more I hear him talk, it's like he was the right guy to run this. Like TJ made a smart move bringing this guy.
No. He's obviously an operator, and he has a long history.
He's only been here a year. Think about this.
Yeah, but look up his LinkedIn. I did.
I'm really pleased today to announce
he's going to talk about that at the end.
Our first development agreement with the top 5. To that end, I am really pleased today to announce our first development agreement with the top 5 smartphone OEM by volume. What this agreement reflects is a progression of our technology relationship
with the top 5 OEM by volume. We know it's not Apple.
Development agree. Let's listen to the words though. Development agreement
and a mutual plan from both the company and us to bring out our technology into users' hands. Very exciting development that's happened in the last quarter.
So they plan on bringing their products into the consumer's hands, right? He goes into the Q&A a little bit about why he doesn't disclose it right now, but so it's one of those top 5.
And we see similar interest and collaboration from other customers who are also who we are going to sample with our EX1M technology in the coming months. Our goal is very straightforward. We begin with a handful of SKUs from this group of customers, ramp EX1M to production in 25, then further differentiate with our EX2M, a battery that samples later this year for product launches in 26.
Clear. Let's hear that again. It's very clear. Now we know what to expect for the end of this year, next year, and the year after that.
I have highlighted EX2M. Ramp. Our goal is very straightforward. We begin with a handful of SKUs from this group of customers, ramp EX1M to production in 25, then further differentiate with our EX2M, a battery that samples later this year for product launches in 26.
Send out samples now, right? Get the product 1 going. Send out the samples for number 2 at the end of the year to get those deals going for 2026.
Well, hold on. So let me see if me and you have the same thing. 2025, towards the end, it sounds like, is when there'll be some sort of product. A couple of SKUs will be there. That's what he's saying. Towards the end of 2025.
Sounded to me like it was earlier in 2025.
Play it again.
As from this group of, our goal is very straightforward. We begin with a handful of SKUs from this group of customers, ramp EX1M to production in 25, then further differentiate with our EX2.
Ramp it into production.
It says ramp, but it feels like it's towards the end because they're going to still, these ramps take time. I mean, like, come on. We've been down this road before.
I'm going to say February.
We ramp in January. By February, we're full scale.
2, we get out the other line. So that's what's happening in 25. It's about realizing product 1, and then 26 is about product
2. A battery that samples later this year for product launches in 26. As I have highlighted in the past, there is secular demand for increased battery capacity with every smartphone generation. And Enovix may be the only company that can help these leading companies, leading smartphone OEMs, keep up with the demand for the higher and higher energy density needs of the batteries because of all the AI applications that are coming into the smartphone, particularly for all the on-device AI applications. So let's recap what products we plan to bring to the market on the next slide. We've shown this slide to you before. EX1 is our current technology that we were sampling last year. EX1M is a new technology that we will be sampling this second quarter this year. And this technology is comparable on energy density to EX1M, which is quite a bit differentiated from all the cells shipping out there in the market. But we've made a few important advancements to this battery. We've increased our cycle life. We increased our capability to charge fast, both of which are very important in the cell phone market. Now we plan to sample EX2M, which is the generation after this, where we continue to make improvements on energy density and cycle life and fast charge capability. Our R&D teams have already started working on EX3M, where we will further make improvements over EX2M in all these 3 vectors: energy density, faster charge, and so on. And our plan is to sample them in 2025. Once we bring a leading smartphone battery to market, our view is that this gives us...
He says sample, right? The 3M is going to be sampled. And right now...
That's so far out. 3M is so far up. We can talk about the EX1M or the 2M. The 1M, he's saying he's going to send samples of that out towards the end of the year. And then it looks like the
question, how does Enovix compare to QuantumScape? QuantumScape is a dream, and Enovix is actually trying to scale currently. I know there's Amperes too, but I don't even think they're as far as Enovix in terms of being ready to market sooner, right?
And he'll get into the competition. Like it's one of those things where they put the money and the research and the time in it. You can't just disrupt them overnight because there's certain metrics that they can hit, certain performance metrics that they can hit that other companies aren't going to be able to hit.
It's the entitlement to
I don't know if we need to hear
win in other large parts of the battery market, namely IoT and computing. There is another $12 billion of TAM in those 2 markets. The reason for this is the smartphone battery has the highest bar of all consumer batteries. The demands of on-device AI are very high, so it needs higher energy density, higher cycle life. People like to keep the smartphone for a while. Fast charge rate, they like to charge it quickly and move on. Highest levels of safety. It's a device you carry with you all the time. So when we produce a battery that meets these requirements, all the other markets are entitlements for us. This is actually same thing I saw at Qualcomm. When I was at Qualcomm, we built a significant mobile phone business, but very quickly we were able to sell the Snapdragon into IoT businesses after that. Now, it should also be not lost on anyone. The logos you saw in the previous...
Okay, I don't think we need to...
That's not bad. It's not even that long. I think it ends soon and then Q&A happens.
Slide of the smartphone OEMs are the same logos of some of these customers who are actually leading in some of the IoT markets like wearables and tablets and computers. So proof positive for strategy is once we qualify with a smartphone customer takes our EX1M sample, they're not only qualifying us for smartphones, but also for smartwatches and so on. To this point, we are continuing to make inroads into multiple other IoT customers. We are applying our vertical markets philosophy where we selectively engage with a few high volume opportunities with leading OEMs that are products that take advantage of the higher energy density and better battery performance of EX1M and EX2M. Presently, our commercial team is focused on select IoT design opportunities for both 1M and 2M, with product launches targeted in 25 and 26 for higher energy density batteries. So some really meaningful progress here. Now, as we look forward, we're approaching some key milestones this quarter. as production begins in Fab 2, and we get samples of our EX1M going out to the customers. Now let's take a look at our scale-up strategy. We've shown this slide before. Q2 24 is when we're going to be sampling our first EX1M batteries from our Agility line to some of the smartphone customers and also some IoT customers. Second half of 24 is when our Fab 2 will get ready for production. And Q4 of 24, we expect to sample the EX2M, the next generation of the battery. Now that takes more, and people will take some more time to qualify that, and we expect that to launch to production in 26. In 2025, our goal is to launch multiple smartphones and also IoT customers with our EX1M battery. Now, what does scale look like when we get to launching multiple products with multiple customers in the coming years? This is a slide that we haven't shown before. Our R&D, this is a slide about the smartphone production line unit economics. Our manufacturing R&D team has been very busy at work to reduce the cost of our lines. Now we are targeting the CapEx per line to be in the $60 million range in the out years. And we've also targeting now with the experiments we've done to be able to get the throughput to be 1,650 units per hour. What that does is each line has the capability of producing a revenue of $150 million. What we're finding is that as we produce higher and higher energy density batteries with better performance, there is the opportunity to increase the ASP because the customers want a higher energy density battery because that'll help them differentiate the products much better.
That's
so. Well, yeah. Here's the question: revenue per line is $150 million. Okay. How many lines did they say they're going to have? 2025, 2026? I think that was said sometime. If anybody knows, I don't recall.
I don't recall.
But if it's one line, bear case, right? One line, put a multiple on it. I mean, aren't we already there? It's worth $2 billion.
Well, there was in the Q&A, they discussed things like licensing, especially with like in such high volumes. Like, for example, if Samsung does come on board, maybe they license it and they build a factory and Enovix.
But then that would be after 2026 anyway. That's not going to be the first step is their line. So my point is we're pricing a lot. Like at $6, I went in heavier, but as it goes up, it doesn't look like a great deal.
What, them as a company? No, it's not a great deal. This is definitely something where you're buying it at a high valuation but a low market cap. That's you understand. You're
assuming that they're going to have many lines in the future, of course, right?
That's how I look at it, and I'm trying to size the position accordingly. But that's how I look at it. It's a very, very rich valuation. They're not even making real money now, so it's hard to even peg a number to that. But I'm saying
you can say if that revenue per line is 150 million, and you say times 20, or even 10, whatever, 10 to 20, somewhere in that reasonable range.
1 year.
Say it again.
No, I'm just reading what he's saying. Smartphone production line.
But yes, that's like $2 billion, maybe $3 billion. Somewhere around there.
John would probably know if he knows how many of these lines. I feel like the number was 6. For some reason, the number 6 is sticking out in my head right now.
Well, good news here. If all this is good news, why are they dipping down again? Well, they ran from $6 to 11. And if you look at the charts, by the way, 11 was the resistance. I don't know if we want to go into that, but
we can
11, I could bring it up.
Let's finish up a little bit. Let's just finish.
Sure. Well, we'll do that at the end for a couple of minutes.
We expect our cash gross margin to be in the 50% plus, and we estimate a payback of each of these lines to be 1 year. So very exciting future here as we get because the customers want a higher energy density battery because that'll help them differentiate the products much better. At that point, we expect our cash gross margin to be in the 50% plus, and we estimate a payback of each of these lines to be 1 year. So very exciting future here as we get into scale of manufacturing. As you can see, we're making tremendous progress, and we have a very clear path and very attractive long-term financials as we scale this business. Now, none of this would be possible without the collective success of our global teams. From the operations team in Malaysia readying our Fab 2, to the team in India reducing our R&D cycle times, to the team in Korea improving our coating capability. Based on this progress and our global taking advantage of our global footprint, we are now accelerating our plans to identify additional efficiencies as we scale to take advantage of this global footprint of our engineering teams and manufacturing teams. Our plan is now to reduce our fixed costs by more than a third, or by more than $35 million annualized by this year end.
Reduce our costs. There you go, your layoffs. They want to reduce their cost by a third.
This significantly reduces our capital needs and accelerates our path to profitability. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Farhan.
and accelerate that path to profitability. Again, this is another reason why I think this is so important that we could see him on the earnings call, because you can hear his confidence in his voice. But like to your point earlier on, he's someone that I believe is giving it to you straight. If the news was really bad, or if there was bad news, he would address it. So this gives me confidence in the way that he's addressing this. He's proud of the news. It is good news. He's very clear about what the metrics are going forward. Overall, I think that was a great opening statement. What do you think?
You want to go to the other video?
Yeah. Anything you want to say about this, though, as like the opening of the call? The rest of it's pretty standard.
I like the way they do the call, too. It's video. Everybody should do video. They're presenting their management team right in the like they're not hiding behind anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love it. I love that they do this. Even those little candid moments you can see when they look at each other, if they're answering a question.
That guy looks sus, though.
we don't want to piss him off. Don't cut this guy off in traffic.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get to the meat. The really good stuff was this freaking Ask Me Anything, which I think is a great idea. Like, this is not a company you'd expect to sort of have this sort of retail presence, but I just think it's great that he took time out of his day to sit down and do a Q&A with they had some prepared questions, and then people in the chat are literally just asking questions.
That was good.
Answering them, which is great.
FUV vibes, like you said.
Yeah. But it got me thinking, like, how great would that be if after like every earnings call, you wait like 2 days, and then like the CEO will do an official Q&A.
Yeah,
like everybody on their own channel to just like let's put them into perspective, right? Let's take 2 days to digest it, and let's come back and let's talk about what this means. I think that would be so beneficial.
Yeah, we'll go to that, but I'm not sure about streaming Unity, even though I'm not sure it'll happen Thursday, but we'll try.
Well, Thursday is when? Thursday is what time?
I'm not sure. It's probably 5 o'clock. It'll be at 5:30.
I mean, if you want to go for it, I'm not the biggest Unity.
I have a good position in Unity now. I got it on this last couple of dips here.
Or Ask Me Anything.
Can you hear this?
Live stream.
Yeah, I do.
As I mentioned when I joined the company, it's my goal to be transparent to all our stakeholders and take you along on the journey. And that's what today is about. Now, before we get started, I do want to remind everyone that our live stream is being recorded, and the replay will be available on our YouTube page afterwards. Now, in addition, given we are a public company, and it's important to highlight that we may make forward-looking statements today that are subject to risk. We've received about 100 questions in advance, and we're expecting easily as many in the comments during the call. Now, we may not be able to get to all of them. I'll try to answer as many as I can.
Okay.
Now, before we go to the moderator, I do want to address the news of some of the cuts that we made that have been reported. Now, consistent with the earnings call, we've reduced our burn by $35 million, or 1/3 of fixed costs. Now, the cuts we announced today, a vast majority of them are actually hourly factory workers.
So you see, he's addressing it, right? You had that question.
Yep.
This is what I'm saying. You watch the earnings call, you're like, I wonder, what are they doing? How many lines? What's the deal with that? Okay, here it is. He's just answering it.
I've been working in Fremont, mainly making EX1M cells, so we could get our technology moving forward and sample early to customers. Now, our factory in Malaysia, as I mentioned on the call, has come up really nicely. And I was there a couple of months ago, super excited by that. And in 100 days, the team there was able to build a phenomenal factory. And our agility line machines, almost all of them are now there after FAT being complete. And the line's getting installed, and SAT should be done soon, which means we can get samples from there. So that's the reason why we felt we did not have to have a high-cost, manual manufacturing line here with lots of hourly workers working on making batteries.
So basically, he's saying we've automated your jobs away to Malaysia.
Well,
but what he just said.
But this was my question. In the earnings call, they said that we're producing that 1M, whatever, that 1X. What was the battery? He's producing that in small volume in Fremont. Okay, cool. He comes on this Q&A and says, well, we're automating it and going to Malaysia. So, wait, I thought you just said you were producing those batteries.
He didn't. They didn't
Fremont.
They didn't eliminate the line. It's just reducing.
Unless they kept those people, but it's just not clear. Unless they said, look, we only kept those, 50 people on that line and everybody else got the axe, but he didn't make it that clear. That's all I'm saying.
It didn't come off like a Elon Musk getting rid of the entire team. It's just that you fired some people on the team. He's saying mostly the hourly factory workers. That doesn't mean the entire management team, right?
But that is the people on the line.
Sure.
Because it's a manual process. So there's one guy moving one part to another part.
Right. But if you can automate them away, that's it. It's done.
Yeah. But You get my point, right?
Yeah, he should have just said, yeah, exactly. Like literally right when it's done.
Yeah.
Now, this expands our runway well into 2026 and gets us to profitability sooner. Okay, with that,
he said that expands our runway to 2026 and lets us get to profitability sooner. So he's making the tough call, being like, we got to let some people go automate so we can have our runway. So
right.
$262 million is enough, he's saying, to get to the point where they can actually start getting some people.
Let's kick off the first question.
So that's probably, he increased,
Thanks,
I think, 30 million. I mean, this is important, by the way. So that's why I'm saying it. I think he said 30 million that he lowered. That's a yearly cost.
Oh, 30%.
No, 30% of the workforce, but the amount of money, once again, correct me, but I think it was 30 million.
Amount, I had it.
So
hold on.
But if it's around there, then that gets them an extra quarter.
I have it somewhere.
Maybe 2. It's still a problem. So they have 5-6 quarters by my estimation, without diluting, of course.
Yeah. I'm trying to find where I had that written down.
That's next year. Just
whatever. It was.
I want to point that out.
The point is, they wanted to reduce their entire expenses by 30%.
First question is, one thing that wasn't discussed on the earnings call was military or EV. Has there been any progress on that front?
Yeah, great question. So on the military stuff, as I mentioned, we have this brake flow technology, which makes our batteries extremely safe. And we've been working with the US Army, where they would like to have these safe, high energy density batteries to power, the vests that every soldier would wear and keep them safe and also going for a long time. We have shipped quite a few batteries to them, and that contract is going well. And we will continue to make more batteries as their testing continues, and we expect to send them some more later on. I also want to highlight that the business we acquired in Korea has a very strong, stable business of making batteries for the Korean military, and that's an opportunity for us to actually expand those batteries into other opportunities in other militaries. Now,
so that's important, actually. So they've got a long history of selling batteries into the military, and that allows them to have it's basically like a funnel that allows them to funnel some of their products and also expand some of their client base. That's big. That's big.
Yeah, but I mean, right now it's not. So I don't know how.
But you got
this is a very tiny test.
But hold on. But you have to take it in the context of where the company is growth-wise. Like, and imagine you're now looking at Enphase at 2018, 2019, and they're coming out with the same similar news. If you just go back and look at the news that was coming out when Enphase was $1 and compare it to the news that you're hearing now for this company, the trajectory, the runway, the financials, all of that.
You're probably doing better. I think Enphase was on the verge of bankruptcy.
They were in the freaking, weren't they were in danger of being delisted. They were at like 90 cents at some point.
Yeah, 2010. I think TJ comes in a little bit later, I believe, but rescues them and infuses cash.
So you get my point. Like, yes, none of this is like great. That he's all being speculative, but if they continue to execute on these things, then you can see why, okay, this company should be able to get to profitability and get where they're going. It just gives you a hint that and it also, for me, it gives you a metric to look at. Like next quarter, now we can say, okay, let's look at that. Let's check on that. Did anything happen with that?
We are very excited by this business. We didn't get to talk about it in the earnings call, but back in February, we signed our first development agreement with a tier 1 auto OEM. And since then, we made a lot of progress. And, what's driving the interest here is twofold. One, the architecture we have has the ability to enable the battery to charge really fast and also make the heat dissipate really quickly. Now, one of the issues in cars, as you know, is when you charge fast, the battery heats up. That limits, how quickly they can be charged. And we find that our architecture has an order of magnitude better heat dissipation because of how we orient our electrodes. This enables fast charging and the overall health and stability of the battery.
That's huge too. Because just a couple of quarters ago, they were saying that what they were finding at that point is that there really wasn't any advantage to the batteries as they get bigger. Because as they get bigger, there's actually becomes a weight issue. And apparently that's been worked out. And what he's saying is their technology. Remember, it's in a phone, right? These batteries are like in phones, so they can't really get too hot. And what he's saying is that technology carrying over to EVs, the fact that they dissipate heat so quickly means they can charge faster than, say, the current battery tech that we have now. That's like the first advantage, and that's
the great. Second advantage we had is that our architecture, the way we make the batteries, does a really nice job of handling materials that have the property to swell when charged. Now, many materials swell when they charge, and particularly as you increase energy density like silicon. But our architecture is agnostic of which material you put in there. We're able to control the swelling of any material that swells because of this, and made a lot of progress with this OEM. Things are going well, and we expect to get them some batteries by end of this year. And we're also working on other EV OEMs, also making good progress there.
Okay.
Who do you think it is?
I don't think it's a big manufacturer.
U.S.? Did he say U.S.?
Did he say U.S.? I mean, I think this is so far off. I'm not even considering this a real thing.
Well, we're gonna keep going.
I just want him to say 2 quarters from now, Samsung. That's all I'm waiting for.
I think we should take him at his word. He's saying that they were just saying that they're sending samples. They're already working for. They go back to EVs a little bit later, and he gives a little bit more detail about it. And without spoiling it, basically, he can't announce who it is because that EV company has current deals with battery suppliers. If it becomes public that you're working with Enovix to develop batteries, that muddles the relationships. The way he talks about the deal, it actually sounds like it's a lot further along than he's letting on, because he's basically like, we will announce this as we get close to production. He's not saying if. He's saying we can't announce it now. We will announce as we get closer to production.
Yeah, okay. He was talking about the phone manufacturer. He wasn't talking about the EV manufacturer.
He says the same thing here. You'll hear. This is why I wanted to play this, because I feel like we talk about this a lot. Let's just see if
hey,
imagine it's Fisker.
Raj, we received many variations of this question.
It probably is Fisker.
He's like at the bottom of the ocean.
He's gonna have a new Q&A. Guys, our EV manufacturer fell through. I can't announce who it is.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, hit the like button. What do we
it's
have?
FUV.
I'm only seeing 26 likes, but I guess you guys.
Everybody hit the like button. Come on.
Yeah, real quick. All right.
Hit subscribe. Hit the like. Hit the join button. All those buttons.
Yeah, so this is a really good question, and I know a lot of people ask me this question, but I want to give you some context. Right now, we are working with majority, if not all, the smartphone OEMs, and that's
He just said we're working with a majority, if not all, the smartphone OEMs. Just like threw that out there. So he's talking.
I know, but it's like, what does it cost LG or whoever to say, yeah, send me 5 batteries? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it probably doesn't cost them anything. Like, yeah, we'll test it, send it over. I don't think we should read that they're all on board and they all have big orders ready to go.
I don't think he's saying that. But what it's telling me is that, okay, there's the batteries that we have.
I think Rob H is right.
He's gonna say
it's a leading road taxi manufacturer.
No, those are going to be the batteries.
That'd be a great announcement.
Right, they actually never need to charge.
No, but imagine that announcement. Like, who can it be?
Imagine he comes out on stage with Elon. No, I just think considering the fact that there is a shift happening now with much more power and charging being demanded of the devices now coming from AI. That's why I think it is important. If it was just the run-of-the-mill normal, I wouldn't take it as seriously. But the fact that in other words, if they're sending samples, presumably it's to test the higher output and the AI applications that are coming that are still not here yet. So it seems to me like it's a legitimate inquiry. It's not just like, here, Girl Scout cookies.
No, I believe it, but like I guess I'm being pragmatic after my FUV debacle.
Yeah,
good
to be that way. It's good to be.
Saying he says a lot of things that are very bullish, but if you just think about it, how complicated some of these things are, like making batteries now for EVs, where you can't make a battery for a phone yet, like that's so far off that I'm hoping the batteries for Samsung
they already do
is enough.
Yeah, but they already do. They already do make these. It's not like you're acting like they haven't made anything. They've made plenty.
Nicola's the other one.
Yeah.
Right. Been the focus of the company, because I felt that's an area where our energy density increase we're able to provides maximum benefit, with the AI applications that are coming onto the phone, and we got very good customer feedback on that. Now you got to remember, these customers, already have existing suppliers that they're using, and we're a new company that's coming in with a new battery to them. They like what we provide. They want to work with them, but they can't really go out and tell everybody, hey, I'm using an Enovix battery way ahead of time, because they got the existing supply base to worry about. this is something, and also, I mean, this is such a differentiated battery that the OEMs like to keep it. The fact that they're working with us a little bit more guarded, and I totally understand that. That having been said, my experience is that typically a couple of months before production is when the OEMs will allow us to mention their name, and I'm working on that. Meanwhile, we will continue to do announcement like we did before, which is we basically said, we announced the fact that we worked with the OEM and we got the agreement reached and so on. We also did that with auto. We did that with the smartphones now. And as we continue to make progress, we will continue to do that. Now in auto, it's even trickier because some of these auto companies have got some other battery suppliers that be given the long lead time. They work with them for a while now. So please be patient with us. A lot of good traction. I'm really excited by the work we are doing. Our architecture enables us to produce much better energy density, and the customers are super excited by that. But but the ability to announce the names will come as we get closer to production.
All right, the ability to announce the names will come closer as we get closer.
That's 2025, somewhere in 2025.
Somewhere in there, or even towards the end of the year with the people that would be getting samples this quarter.
I mean, do you want to bring up a certain part, because I think we should wrap it up soon? But do you want to bring up any specific thing that you saw?
Yeah, there was that part. And I actually have some timestamps here. Hold on.
He did talk about shorts. I thought that was interesting.
He does. Honestly, it's a kind of a lackluster answer. He's like, yeah, they're going to short me. I don't really know why they're shorting us.
I don't know why they're shorting us.
That's literally what he says. It's like,
we have 3 quarters left of money. I don't know why they're shorting us.
Let me see.
Oh man, it's a funny answer, but at least he addressed it.
Somewhere in here, there's some interesting stuff.
P. Morton's going all in AI.
So over the last 30 years, I've seen the opposite trend. I mean, processor performance, processor demands and battery life, memory demands and battery life, display demands and battery life, camera demands and battery life has only kept moving, growing more, not less. That is with just the existing applications we know. The new applications, are just starting. I think they'll demand even more. If anything, I feel like we're probably undercalling, amount of battery capacity that needed to run these. I don't know if you guys use AR, VR headsets. I use the Vision Pro over the weekend. I mean, you watch one movie in 2 hours, the battery life is pretty much done, but the experience is phenomenal, from the eye tracking and so on. That's what's going to happen to phones. I think you'll get better and better applications. You'll get hooked onto them. You'll want them, but the battery life is not going to keep up. And also, if you see, the work that Qualcomm's are making, NVIDIA's, Micron's, they're not slowing down. I mean, they spend a lot of money and a lot of R&D in making better processors, better memories that only need more power. So I'm not too concerned about that. On the risk of someone making a new better battery, look, I'm always paranoid. I come from semiconductor business. Only the paranoid survive mindset. But I do feel like we have an inherent advantage that no one has really figured out how to use 100% silicon active anode, and our architecture is the only one that I know of that actually does that. So we have a built-in sustainable advantage. And I do believe that the materials will get better. Anodes will get better. Cathodes will get better. Our ability to understand the different interactions between cathodes and anodes and electrolytes will get better. But I believe that our architecture helps us take advantage of all of that and make even better battery.
There's one other part that I think was really important. It was towards the end. I think we've got time for 2 more things. There's 2 things that are important to listen. So apparently in 2027, the EU has had a mandate that all cell phones, all mobile devices need to have user replaceable batteries. So now there's this whole race to like, okay.
Thank goodness.
I think we should have had this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now, this is great for companies like Enovix, and it's actually really shitty for the phone makers, because a lot of times you'll replace your phone because the battery isn't what it used to be, whereas a new battery could make it feel great again, right? But it also sets up like
make it feel great again.
Make your battery
statement.
Feel great again. But it's going to be shitty because people will extend the life of their phones, right? Or at least in Europe, they'll be able to extend the life of their phones. The other thing good, and he'll get into this, is that it allows them to make one form factor that everybody can use. So it allows them
I don't know about that. They still have different. If you ever open up a phone, they all use sort of different layout of their battery cells. So I don't know if they can do one form factor because the electronics are all differently placed.
It allows them to shrink the number of SKUs because you're not making them specific to each device. So you can sort of standardize it. Say for phones of a certain size, you can make this battery. The other reason why you need to do that is because when those customers, he goes, for example, if we develop better batteries later in the future, customers can come in and actually upgrade their battery, right? For even more battery life, because it's the same box. It basically is just going to fit. So as they make improvements in energy density or charging, they can sell those to customers. So it allows them direct access to the mobile customer without having to go through the OEM that makes the phone. And I think it'd be worth hearing him say that. I wish you could search. Is there a way to search the?
Yeah, I don't think there is yet.
Let me see. We want to see that part. Huge demand. Let me just get him talking.
I don't really know what people short Enovix on. I know there's a huge amount of short interest.
That's a short thing
on the stock.
Yeah.
I think some of it is personally. I think some of it is because of we came to be public company through a SPAC, and very few companies have been successful. I think some of these are probably algorithmic shorts where they just short a bunch of SPAC based companies. And the other thing is we've had some missteps. We haven't been able to. It took a little longer, and factory in Fremont didn't really produce the batteries that it was supposed to, and various reasons for that. And I talked about it in the past. So people felt that this battery is not manufacturable. I personally feel that those concerns are not so valid now with some data that we've got this our lines running now, the FAT is complete, and the machines are coming in, and we're making samples to the customers like. So I feel pretty good, but I don't know what those people who short them think.
All right, that's his reasoning. We're getting shorted. We came to market as a SPAC.
If you watch also he has a lot of face movements, nose, eyes. Like, have you noticed he touches his nose and his eyes all the time?
Yeah, there was one or two moments where he was kind of doing the ear thing, and I'm like, all right, you're completely bullshitting me now. But that's another reason why I want to see.
He's like, we're selling 1 million batteries.
Right.
His ear.
I want to see if Elon was like the 8/8 event. Optimus is going to be amazing. Oh fuck, I'm selling all my shares tomorrow.
I mean, you should watch. I watched the whole thing just at fast motion, so he's touching his nose every second and his eyes and adjusting.
Oh, him?
Yeah.
Well, look, as someone that wears
especially
glasses,
at 1.5x.
you gotta give him a little. You gotta give him a little bit because I wore glasses for a while, but still, you could just get a sense when he's completely bullshitting. Anyway, there's another really good question that that an investor asked. This is what they ended with, and then I'm gonna see if I can find the other question.
Thank you for doing this. I feel more supported as an investor and a fan of Enovix. What would be a home run for Enovix in your mind? What's your personal point of where success is for you?
Yeah, I mean, a home run for Enovix is to be a supplier of high performance, great lithium-ion batteries into consumer electronics and into EVs, whether they're directly or through some license.
Consumer we want to be high performance batteries for consumer electronics and EVs, whether it's directly or through
and so on. Personally, success for me, I look back at my career of past 30 years. I worked on the very first, at one of the very few digital cameras when the whole world was film. And every time I see somebody use a digital camera, it gives me great pleasure. I worked on MP3 players. I worked on DVD players. I worked on some of the very early cell phone cameras, and now you can see how big they got. I worked on memory and storage, and you can see how big those got. Worked on a lot of IoT devices. For me, I'd like to work and lead teams that'll change end user experience in a positive way. Right? That's where I get most of my excitement on working. And I think at Enovix we have that. If you're able to, and when we're able to produce this battery at scale, imagine a world where all your cell phones go much longer, all your consumer electronics devices go much longer, and you don't have to carry big batteries around. And it's a much greener world because you don't have to charge your batteries as many times. So that's kind of where I look at.
Well, that's all the questions, Raj. I'm going to go ahead and kick it over.
That was a great answer. It's always nice to know. What do you think? What do you see as success?
Yeah. All right. So let's do our closing remarks. You sound more bullish than me. So let's hear what you think is going to happen next year or two.
I would think that he was measured in the guidance that he gave. I don't think he said.
You can put him away. He's done. If you guys want to watch the whole video, obviously you should check it out before you invest.
I won't. I think he was careful with his guidance. He didn't sandbag, and I don't think he over-promised. I think he rode that line perfectly. Now, again, this is not the official investor earnings call, so it's not to say that this is considered. The earnings call, I think, was like sort of run of the mill. It was good, and it was positive. But I think we now have the metrics that. What was good for me is that there's a clarity now in terms of how we can sort of keep them in check over the next couple of quarters to see if they're actually executing on this. But
I mean, okay, so what are you going to check in the next couple of quarters? Because they just have these samples going out. What's going to happen next couple of quarters that's different than this quarter?
Definitely want to hear and keep track of military contracts. I definitely want to keep track of how the samples are going. I want to hear who the smartphone maker is, right? I want to hear.
I don't know if they're going to have until the ramp starts, which is next year.
Basically, he's saying he has to get permission from the smartphone makers and the EV maker. So it's sort of out of their hands, but we can at least get information on it. Like he was very forthcoming about we're working with them, we're getting samples. There's other parts in this where he's like, I leverage my relationships with them. I call them up. What are the factory testing? I'll go and I'll adjust the batteries to hit your metrics. He goes into it deeper. So this is a much deeper conversation or relationship than it may seem on the outside just by hearing like we've sent a bunch of samples. What I would want to hear is the progress on these things. We now know what the progress is. We have the X, the EX1 line, the X2, the 3. I now understand the totality of what he's trying to do with the company. And now I know how to keep them in check over the next couple of quarters. It does make me bullish that they are confident that they're going to be able to hit these metrics. And the fact that he fired a bunch of these people, as hard as it is for those people, it does tell you that if he needs to do something that is could be seen as not favorable, he will do whatever he needs to do to keep the company going. That's what you need. So I'm bullish on him as a CEO, and I'm more bullish on the company in terms of hitting their targets.
So I don't think I'm going to hear anything really new this year, because it sounds like 2025 is when the partnership sometime then is going to be announced. So
no, that's when they would go into production. So
I know, but I don't think the partnership would be announced before they've got a contract to go into production. So like,
right.
I think that's 2025 from everything I've heard so far.
It sounds to me like we might at least hear the name of the smartphone maker and or the EV maker, because he's saying it's a few months before they go into production.
I hope so. Look, I hope it's earlier, but I think my point is that I'm expecting low expectations, knowing that it's a spec bet and hoping that 2025 sometime then something real comes out of it while they still have half their cash on their books. But I also think end of this year or into next year, hopefully if their stock is doing a little bit better, they have to dilute us. There's no way they can. I don't think Raj is a stupid operator where he's going to say, hey, let's wait till the last dollar in the bank, right? Because even if you get a contract, it's not like you're flush with cash.
You don't get paid. Yeah, you don't get paid. You don't get paid right away.
It's not like it all comes in. I don't know if they're working on net 30 or net a year. I don't know what's going on.
I want to check out my invoice.
But you see what I'm saying.
1,000 people I got to pay.
So there might be opportunities coming up too to buy the stock again, especially if they have to at some point. Maybe it's a year from now. Maybe it's the end of the year, but they have to raise more money. There's just no way, especially if you have to go into 2026.
I think this is true, Ruff, and heavy in the neck.
That is true.
And think about this. Now hanging out with Amit and Chris, we can listen to these guys at 1.2. I would listen to that at 2x. I only
we need to do 2x now.
I can actually decipher that at 2x now. No problem. Year-end price for the both of you. Is
it racist to say if it was a white guy in charge, I wouldn't buy into the stock?
And we would have played it at 2x.
We play it at 3x.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But TJ is the white guy in the room, right? No offense to anybody, but I'm investing for TJ, not Raj.
Right. Yeah.
I'm investing because TJ Rogers did the impossible for Enovix. I'm sorry, for Enphase. And I'm hoping he does a similar thing because he picked the correct team here. That's really why I'm investing.
Yeah, and because they both start with the letter E. So he's got a for taking companies. All right, so real quick, he's Indian Elon Musk.
Well, the dilution thing, they did advance. I did listen to the earnings. They said we're not doing it at a low stock price. Okay. As soon as the stock price is over $10, who says they're not going to dilute it? $12 or whatever, right?
I would say it's going to be a little more than that, more than 10.
Year-end 2025 price target.
Year-end price for the end of the year.
Should I bring up the chart for a minute then?
Yeah. Pull up the chart if you want. Let me really think about it.
It's all based on this, honestly. I think it's trading just on technical.
It's all technical. I mean, really, it is. There's some movement on it. There is some interest here, but it's not.
Let me see. Present, share screen.
What are you talking about?
All right. Did you bring it up?
The chart here.
So if you look at it, we are clearly, hold on, I'll go to this is the whole chart, but let me go to the daily. I like, we should go to the minute. Let's go to the minute candle.
Here we go. Look, when the white guy is in charge, he messed up a lot. Like, that's like, it's what they say, Louis C.K., like it's racist, but it's true.
All right. So right here, we sort of, I think we failed under this. So we've been in a downtrend. We are in a big downtrend, this red line, and a massive downtrend, by the way, for the years now. Inside that, we're in a smaller, more steep downtrend.
Okay, for people to explain that, that's when you're snowboarding and you're on a blue, and then there's a part where you hit a double black for like a second, and then you continue.
Which is funny because look, we're in a massive downtrend, which can last for years and years. Well, at least until 2025, somewhere in 2025, where we can break out of it. And that makes total sense because if at the end of 2025 or 2026 is when this ramp actually happens and a lot of income starts coming in, that's when I expect things to start breaking out. Maybe right before that happens. So I still expect towards the end of 2025, mid to end, to actually be a bigger breakout. And I expect to trade in this range that it's been trading in for just based on speculation, pumps and dumps, basically. So in this smaller down, as you can see, right? You see this orange line, Carlos? Yeah. We ran right up. You see, like we hit the RSI of over 70. What did we hit? We hit 72, and now we're dropping like a rock, basically. And so we're not over this, or we're right on it. Hold on, where are we? We are underneath this trend again. So this is not good news. If we can't get above the steep downtrend, I mean, it's back to $6, people. Like,
those are earnings pumps. Again, this is like a pre-profitable company, but it's about what do you think the company will actually do what they say they're going to do. I'm getting more.
Rawi, bring up Rawi. Downtrend in a downtrend is bullish. So, I mean, look, this is a very dangerous stock, and we're discussing it, but only because, once again, I go back to TJ. He did the impossible. So it's like if Elon came to me and said, "Hey, I need $50,000, bud. Okay, I'm starting a new thing." I'd be like, "Sure." I would take a flyer with Elon, and I think TJ's a similar personality where I'm just taking a flyer, seeing what happens. It's like a roll of the dice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I hope TJ doesn't let Enovix die, like he's saying.
Matt Money said the price would go to 0. Well, we all know 2 negatives is a positive.
If you multiply by -1,
it's the reverse cup and bull.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't like all those bullish people on Twitter. And we have a Discord too, by the way. If you haven't joined our Discord, it's free to join at Finance. Well, I'm already forgetting Freelancer Finance. Freelancer Finance. Join our Discord. Hopefully, we'll have a link. But people talk Enovix all day, and some are very bullish, like Johnny. And I understand it. They put a lot of money into it.
No, look, even that's fine. Even with everything that we say, I can be bullish on the company, but it's like I don't want to hype the company. I don't want to ever feel like I'm hyping them or even Tesla. Like I've done my DD, and based on my DD, this is how I feel about the company. But it doesn't mean I'm going to try to look at all the information through a bullish lens. I think you're an idiot if you do that and just start looking at it because you got a lot of money in it. No, it's not like I have a crazy amount of money in this company, but I'd want to see them do well.
LMNOP, this is the dangerous half of Junkies.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you. I think we should keep going. I got some shit to do too, but thank you. 217 people for tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe button on your way out. Follow us on all of the socials. And if you guys want to support us or Chris on Patreon, we'll have some links there. I will do the timestamps. Some idiot said I won't do timestamps, but I will get the timestamp.
The chat is funny today.
Yeah, the chat's great. It's going to be one timestamp, Enovix.
Right. That's right. Put Vitaly shits on Enovix for an hour, and Carlos says to the moon.
Right. Yeah, basically, yeah. To the moon, in the toilet.
All right, got it.
All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow.
No,
we'll
Thursday.
Maybe not. Maybe we just pop up out of nowhere. You never know with the finance junkies. Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys later.